trying to do was to record the 12 ascendants for you for the triple conjunction of Saturn, Sol, and Mercury in Pisces. And like I said in my giant video before that, basically, by the merit of rulership, all the zodiac is involved. You can go to that episode and watch. But where it all begins and where it all ends, amidst loops, because it's a very loopy conjunction, is actually Aquarius. So your fellow Aquarius people or fields in life are going to have the most knowledge about what's on. And this is why I break it down for the 12 ascendants, and I'm going to take a look not only at Pisces, but also at Aquarius in your chart. So without further ado, Ascendant Pisces, let's begin. This is happening in your first house. So this triple conjunction is going to be very viscerally felt, and it's going to involve your 12th and 6th axis as well. The ruler of your 6th and the ruler of your 12th are meeting alongside the ruler of your 4th and 7th. How has your upbringing and relationship been affecting your physical and mental health? Is one thing, okay? How have your housing and the ones you share housing with been affecting your physical and mental health? Or the life of your pets as well, 6th house. But also Aquarius for you is the 12th. So if you really want to know what's going on, your means of understanding there are found in the 12th. How to easily tap into the 12th in terms of location. This is your bedroom. To close yourself in a room, you're at the 12th. Go to some place where only you are there alone, you're at the 12th. It's a place where you are secluded, where you are isolated. When you do this, you are going to tap into what's up in this Aquarius house. So ideas are going to come, but also you will pay attention to how you feel in your body, because this is very felt by you. And this will tell you how to analyze things, but also what is changing in particular. This will tell you a lot. And because it is 12th house, so you can expect that this understanding is going to be intimate, in the sense that you might not be running out and telling this to everybody. Okay? You might not be writing a blog or writing a book about this, depending on where your natal Saturn is as well. But you will have better tools to analyze the situation. Also, the fields of, let's say, what is on with hotels, okay, and simmers. Those kinds of enclosed spaces that you go to when you are on a vacation or exile, jails and the hospitals. So those three things can tell you, also mediumship in a certain way also, can tell you or be units of analysis that you can use to understand this triple conjunction. What is changing? Well, hello there. SNK recipes. Ooh, you cook nice food for us. What is your ascendant? So this is for Pisces. For Aries, Aquarius is your 11th house. Like DN, I have no idea what it is. So for Aries, Aquarius is your 11th house, and this means that your network of associates and colleagues, this is networks of associate more like, it's not third house where it's like your bestie, okay? It is more like your colleagues and associates. Simple. The people you meet at the conference, the people you have a Zoom class with, your networks of associates in like your social media or so. Okay, so followers on social media as well. This is where you look to understand what is going on. Where it's going to happen is in Pisces, is in your 12th house. But if you want to know what's up, for example, thank you. For example, if you have like a bit of a bad dream or a psychic attack or something like that, or even feel something in the energy is off, you want to look at your 11th house, okay? Maybe one of your followers, maybe one of your associates, okay? Or maybe you're experiencing something to do with that, or your social media is involved. You want to be looking at what you see on social media as well, okay? Because this is where, or what somebody says, one of your associates said something, or what you've been doing on social media, that could lead to 12 house experiences. So you might be, yes, you could be going through experience of being canceled or being shadow banned. And again, canceled or shadow banned doesn't mean that you are bad. It means that it can be because of political reasons, because you said something is a bit more advanced to people. Usually it's because you said something is a bit more advanced rather than traditional, but it can also be traditional if this tradition is outside of the standard norm right now, okay? So you could actually bring in traditional values where they're not brought and get canceled for that, or get shadow banned for that. Or alternatively, you have something new to bring to the table. You know what is going to happen. So a lot of you are probably speaking about like the 2030, the Davos, the all kind of like New World order, and you might be doing that on social media, and you have to deal with what the backlash is more when you are with yourself. So there's the energy backlashes and learning to protect yourself in terms of energy. You might learn how to protect yourself from nightmares, from invasion to your dreams, from interferences, kind of like in energy or the psychic stuff, but also nervous system stuff. And it will be what's on in your group of associates, but also your goals and dreams. Maybe your goals and dreams touch on something that brings in a little bit of chaos into the system, and that's how, and it is something that has been on for decades, okay, like at least a Saturn cycle. So there are smaller cycles as well, but you're going to be able to see a little bit of the bigger picture here, and you might be one of the people that are going to be exposing that. Aries, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, yes. So I know I'm an astrologer. I know Lada Duncheva is Aquarius Ascendant, and I think Aries Sun, and she's been exposing a lot of what's going on social media, which is basically 11th from the Sun to her. She sheds light on that on social media. Another thing to do with this, experiences of the 12th. So we talk about dreams, but also nightmares, seclusion. It could be experience of some sort of like cancel or some sort of persecution because of, kind of like what's on in social media, or because of your dreams and goals. So this is something that can happen. Not saying it will happen, but if it did, then you know what to associate that with, and go to your 11 to figure things out, like why. Now, Taurus Ascendant. Taurus Ascendant, Aquarius is in your 10th house. And so the little bit of chaos that's going to, not necessarily a little bit, that's going to happen is going to be involved in something to do with elders, you as a parent, your career, and the way you are presenting yourself in the world, okay? Not your ascendant, okay? Not your ascendant. For example, if I turn this off, I don't know my mom speaking with this hat inside the house. But there's this trend by Beyonce, and I thought like, hey, let's give it a little bit of a homage. So I thought that's cute if I'm doing you know, you can actually see my face. So that's cute, I'll put this on. It helps with the bad hair day. Oh shit. Of course it's me, it's not Beyonce. I don't have the like elegance and and so yeah. So that's my take on that. And so 10th house is more about how you show yourself to the world, and the way you are going to be experiencing this is in the 11th. So the event is in your 11th, but when you want to understand what's up, it's the 10th. For example, you go on a conference, okay? Something that you did, let's say in your branding, goes with you. And so you people react to you differently. If we make homage to Beyonce, remember when she just came with her first Renaissance, she had a song where in the lyrics there were many things. One of them was a Balenciaga. Just the word Balenciaga, just always in some fashion brands. You know, she's very fashion savvy. And then there was the Balenciaga scandal where they did like incorporate pedophilia into their messages, and everybody was burning their Balenciaga. Okay, so that's you know, this is an event. This is an event. So something like this could be happening to you. It's like there's something up, and this is involving something you did with your branding. Okay, for example, if I do this video today like this, and tomorrow Beyonce is going to say, I don't know, something like extremely weird and off that any show of Beyonce is kind of like looked upon badly, then I will have these consequences, okay? I'm actually Sun and Venus Taurus, who knows? But you want to be thinking to your 10th. You want to be thinking to your image, but also your career, okay? You want to be thinking to, if you have a boss, so to your boss. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can actually be a good thing, okay? You come to a conference from work, let's say you travel, and then people are all very kind to you and very smiley to you and very this, and you're like, they're being extra kind to me. Is it like a cultural thing? I don't know what's on. Then maybe it is your boss that said a good word about you, or that made sure that you're going to be presented in some way in this conference, and this shows that people don't even know you and they're being extra kind to you, but it's actually because of your boss, and they're basically flirting, not flirting, but you know, kind of like trying to make a good impression on your boss, and it's not even you that they're after, but you can benefit from this. And other cases where you are the boss, okay? So you're the boss, you're going on a conference, and maybe you had a little bit of yes, a scandal with your employee, I don't know, and this is bearing on how people see you, and you don't know why it is, and then it's like, oh, it's something I did as a boss. Oh, maybe I had this conversation with this person, they went out and talked about this, and now it's having this embarrassment. So people are looking at you and kind of like, who is this person? They are basically acting weird because of something that you did as a boss. So branding, you as a boss, your boss, your career, okay? Questionable careers. For example, if tomorrow, let's say I'm an astrologer and a aromatherapist, one of the difficulties with me with being an aromatherapist, there are a lot of pyramid schemes to do with that. And I'm like, no, I actually got, you know, trained in a place that doesn't do that. And I went so far and, you know, got to know about what I need to know and so on. But people don't know that, and they're like, what are you doing, aromatherapist? Oh, you're that. No, it's difficult. So it could be about your career, okay? Or astrology. If somebody, I know, let's say some scandal is exposed in the astrological community, okay? Yeah, go someplace, you know, and you're an astrologer, go someplace. Oh, there's one from Israel. Half Dutch. So I go someplace and they're like, what are you doing for a living? And, oh, I'm an astrologer and I'm a therapist. And they're like, you're those that, yeah, we read about it in the news. They're exposed. It's all a scam and they ask people for money and stuff like that. So it can be that. But it can also be the other way around. For example, tomorrow they can find out that, oh, they managed to predict this and that earthquake by using astrology. And then I go to a place and it's like, I'm an astrologer. Like, oh my God, you're an astrologer. Can you know when will the next earthquake will be? And I'm like, no. Okay, that's what's up. So depending on what the event is basically, how you're going to experience that. But you know that this is coming from your 10th more so than your 11th. You'll feel it in your 11th, but the source and the root is in your 10th. Yes, I am. Ascendant, Taurus, Gemini. So Gemini, Aquarius is in your 9th house. That would mean that Pisces is in your 10th house. So unlike the Taurus ascendant, what you're going to see is actually something is going to change in your moving up or down the ladder, or in the way you are received in the world, okay? The way your brand is received in the world. Well, greetings to India. And you're not going to get it just why is it so until you tap into something to do with the 9th house. 9th house, it could be some teaching that you have, some teacher that you have, your religious beliefs. Okay, for example, you could get a promotion because your religious beliefs are just matching the boss, or alternatively, not get a job because of what you believe in. Okay, this can also be something to do with traveling or being abroad, or your relationship with people that are from other countries or cultures. Okay, if you have like an international workplace, you want to look at how those cultures and origins intermingle in terms of their worldview, beliefs, and philosophies. So let's say your boss treats you badly and you don't get why, or they suddenly are being overcritical of you, because Saturn is criticism. You don't really get why. Okay, go to their beliefs and your beliefs. This is the unit of analysis now. And then you see, for example, that yes, I'm from Israel. Let's say you are from India. Usually Israelis and Indians. Israelis are always traveling to India. Actually, I haven't got the chance to do so. And I'm an astrologer. And Indian people, they travel all around the world, very much like Israelis. So this is good relations. So let's say if I had to be in an international workplace and the boss is Indian, I'd likely be chosen over some other types of, people who come from countries that are not in Israel or India. And that is a part of what's happening in the world. Okay. Alternatively, if my boss would be, let's say, Palestinian, I think it would be difficult to even step into the workplace, right? So this is what's going on when the 9th house is affecting the 10th. It can also be affecting your branding. So this is again, you serve, you re-edit your branding, you do something with your branding right now. You're busy doing how am I presenting myself to the world and so on. And then you get a certain comment. So they can be good comments, but the branding was not necessarily about that. So maybe you invested in the the design or some movie or photo shoot or something of the Pisces sort, and somebody just likes, you use the quote by someone and somebody just likes the quote that you used. It's like, oh, they really like Voltaire. Oh, you used Voltaire. Oh, now they feel closer to you. Now they react to your branding just by this use of Voltaire. And for you, that was the small lines, but the actual design was something that you wanted to pay attention to, and you're not even doing anything to do with Voltaire. Okay, this is exactly what this is about. I have not visited India. What do I think about India? I think they're very much citizens of the world, which is very something I can relate to both from my Dutch part and from my Israeli part. So I like to travel, always interested in new cultures. And yeah, this is what I know. I don't know too many things. And now let's go to next ascendant Cancer. So for you, ascendant Cancer, Aquarius is in the 8th house, but Pisces in the 9th house. First of all, the entire Saturn in Pisces can be a bit annoying because Pisces is when you travel, when you get a degree, when you write a book, when you write a dissertation, when you go to your church, or not to go to the church, but your philosophy, your religion. This is more, this is 9th house. But when something from your 8th house comes in, either you finally get to do that, okay? Either if it is something that like a Saturn return for you, or Saturn maturation, this could be the time where you just get to do your 9th house. But because it's coming from the 8th house as well, and the 7th, this is where your personal relationship, Capricorn, and your the things you swipe under the rug, okay? Your financial situation, okay? Not in the sense of employed or unemployed, but in the sense of cash flow, in the sense of investments, what you invest in, but also if there are investments of energy, of time, and of assets or money that are the type that you swipe under the rug, okay? For example, let's talk about a habit that you could have. Let's say you smoke, okay? Now you want to travel, but because you smoke, you spend so much money, you don't get to save to travel. That can be something of that sort. In general, Saturn Pisces, there's a reality check to your beliefs as well. That's coming from your bank. It's like your accountant, your accountant has a revision on your basically aspiration, like not aspiration is more the 11th, but your worldview. Again, and Jupiter is very optimistic, so and expansive. So Saturn wants to constrict something, but this can also incarnate. So, for example, if you always wanted to do a feature film, yes, right now you could actually get the budget to do it. It might not be as huge as you thought it's going to be, but it's going to incarnate. This particular event, you gotta go to that 8th house to see what's up, because there is an event. The event can be you could be launching a book, you could be writing your dissertation, you could be doing many things, but to get what's closing for you now, this is where you have to go to the 8th. So you have to look at what are you sharing with your partner, but also in terms of energy, okay? What are you sharing with your bank account? What type of habits or things you've been swiping under the rug? What's in your 8th house? So Venus and Mars are in your 8th house. So lots of relationships, a lot of breakup, well, a lot of connections too. A lot of conflicts as well. An inflammation to the nervous system could be affecting your worldview. There can be conflict and aggression that you try to swipe under the rug, but this affects actually what you believe in. So are my beliefs right now, specifically now, okay, are my beliefs affected by my anger? It would be a good thing to ask. Are my beliefs affected by my desire to connection? Also, good thing to ask, okay, Venus and Mars in your 8th. Venus, Mars is, also initiatives that you have. So not only relationships, your car, maybe you need to fix your car, or you just fix your car. And And this is also the house of occult studies. So what is happening in the ninth? If you're traveling, okay, those things that you are not really addressing in your day-to-day life, they could come up more so. So to give an example, something of an Aquarian sort. Well, you could be having dogmas. Let's say to occult studies. Let's say, yes. Let's say there's all these. Well, let's stick with astrology because this is the easiest, right? So let's say you're doing astrology, but you're like channeling or something like this, or channeling energy, and you're traveling. And let's say that when you are channeling energy, there's a some people, okay, there are some people that were channelists that I met on the beginning of the journey. And sometimes they would make these weird, they had tics or they had something when they were channeling. So some people, one person was yawning, one person had something like with the heart jumping, with the heart. And they didn't feel so comfortable about this. So let's say you are abroad and you meet someone and they say, oh, you do astrology, but you need to channel when you do astrology. And they want your reading, but usually you give them, I don't know, in a phone call, so people won't see your weird faces. And now you actually show your weird faces or your tics or whatever happens when you channel, which just happens to people. And it's visual for them. So you could actually be benefiting from like relief of something that you've been hiding and now is more exposed to the world, or something that is a bit constraining to you, if it's budget, stuff like that. It's involving all the charts. What you're going to see in the ninth house, you need to go back to your eighth house. This is where you want to interfere. So let's say you want to travel, but you don't have enough money and you spend a lot of smoking. Then if you could tackle, see what's making you smoke all that much, it's in your eighth house. It's Aquarius related. Okay. If you tend to that and you get to the bottom of this, then you could release some budget. It is not in, let's say, make more money. That would be the second. Okay. It's not there. It's like you may, or maybe you have increased your income, but it's still not enough. Okay. This is and sometimes what you did to increase your income, it caused you to that addiction. And so when you tend to that addiction, you actually release some budget or release some energy. This can also be energy boundaries. Okay. Especially between you and kind of like the partner, significant other, someone you have a one-on-one relationship with. And so it might be that you need to either set a boundary there, or to relax one, because Saturn Pisces is also the dissolution of boundaries. Maybe you've been too closed off and you need to actually be more present, or maybe the other way around. And you need to have a little bit more autonomy, and then you see that actually you get what the energy to do what you need to do. In the ninth house, there is new way to deal with both your relationships and your eighth house. So debt, death, not necessarily that anybody's going to die. It's also birth. So yes, and this changes your worldview. You could also be having a baby born with your partner, and this basically changes your worldview by becoming a parent. So that is another one. Ascendant Leo. So for Ascendant Leo, Pisces is the 8th house and Aquarius is the 7th. So what's up? This is where, again, it's going to manifest mainly in the 8th house. But to understand what's up, you need to understand what is in the 7th house. For example, suddenly you take a look at your investments. You take a look at your investments and you see some things that are strange to you, okay? Maybe your partner's involved, okay? And sometimes it's not necessarily, you know, if maybe you share a house is shared assets, so it's not necessarily your own, okay? If it's like, oh, they changed this, they changed that, maybe you need to talk about those things that were changing. Um, the event is going to be you doing the eighth house differently. So you're not going to be sharing the same things or in the same way, or you have a partner now. Okay. And so let's say your accountant calls and they say, oh, well, I got this fine. Why'd you got this fine? Well, you got married. You didn't let the authorities know. Oh, I didn't know that they would know that. Well, usually they don't, but they checked. It could be something as simple as that. Or that you just by having a relationship, there are new things that you swipe under the rug. So think about, let's say, when you move in together with someone new, okay? There are many things that you just don't usually expose and don't usually do when another person is around. And now that other person is somebody gonna, you know, you're invested in spending a significant amount of your life with, if not the rest. So this changes the way you behave, okay? That maybe you have some habits that you swipe under the rug, and now the event is that they are exposed. But what you want to understand, why am I acting like this and never act like this, is because you have a partner in the house and you're not used to that, okay? So it's going to change up the eighth house. But what you need to is, for example, to tend to your seventh house. Maybe there's some boundaries you need to set with your partners, or maybe the other way around, okay? Maybe you need to feel more comfortable doing certain things. That it can be from, you know, barping to how long showers you take. I just saw actually a short by someone who said, well, a man gets into the bathroom and then you see an old lady saying in kind of like heartbroken, said, it's been 85 years, and that's and that could be one of those, okay? Like, why does it take forever? Well, yeah, it's just so. But what's changed? The partner changed, okay? So that's what you need to figure out. If it is something to do with like energy, so suddenly feeling the energy of your partner, or suddenly I try to think, you know, some people, they have a little bit of blending quite early on when they are with other people. So for example, you could be in a separate place from your partner, and you could be having like weird reactions, and you're like, where is it coming from? Oh, it's coming from them. I'm acting like them. Okay? Again, this is a very typical situation where it's coming from the seventh, but it's actually causing some weird stuff in the eighth. Now, next ascendant is going to be Virgo. So Virgo, Pisces is your seventh, so this is where stuff is going to happen. But Aquarius is your sixth. A big example can be you meet the partner, but the why and how you met the partner is because you really had to file this file for your boss, and you had to be there physically. And let's say you're an introvert, so they told you, yes, you must give this to your boss, you must do it physically, and you dread that and you hate that, but you go anyway. But then you meet someone, and this someone is interesting, and this is you know, kind of like how introverts meet people. It genuinely is, and that can be your story. Or you take a walk with your pet and you meet someone interesting. So that can be, again, you met someone interesting, that is the event. You want to understand the why and how. Well, let's say you just got a new pet a while ago, and now you're just walking with the pet, so nothing's been changed, but this time you did have an event. You did meet another person. There can also be a breakup, therefore. So let's say you decided to break up with your partner and you're not really sure why. It's kind of like you're tipsy, you're this, you're that. Um, and then you go and sit around it and you're like, I noticed that they don't really like my dog. That's where it's ended. Okay? It can be very simple things like this. So, but it can also relate to something that is way more than that. For example, yes, if it's relationships and pets, then how do we do it with pets and relationships? Okay, do we both adopt a pet, or what happens if we separate? Those are types of things that will affect the quality of your house. It can also be around your health. So let's say, I remember one time the boyfriend I was dating, 5 years and employed, and he liked to sleep, and I was trying to start off sleep. And that was very weird because my entire life changed, okay, in terms of what I would order in a restaurant, topics of conversation, and everything. And it's just like I did something for my health, and then like 2 months I had to separate the relationship as well. But this is the concern, okay? So that prioritize my health for myself and not put myself in a situation where I'm compromising myself, even if I'm using salad and other things. I'm living from good to salad care. I prioritize my health and trying to build up salad care in these things, okay? To take housekeeping and health into my pet, it can be duties, and those can, we can use it in separation as well. Ascending, yeah, Libra. So for you ascending Libra, that could be the sixth house, and Aquarius is going to be the fifth house. Sixth house. For example, it could be one of those people who say, "Oh, I really want to. I'm ready to go and have rest, but I don't want to drink. But I really want to go and enjoy. I really want to. I really want to love you." But then you start to see things you don't want to do. Hey, what is the feeling of this is your well, I ended up being so you could be wanting to see like, I want to travel, I want to travel, I want to travel. What happened? You never go. Okay? You try to take it off. And then, but if you want to understand like what is the event, is basically on the seat. Or, for example, let's say for your health, on the fifth house is for let's say you decided to take on coaching or whether someone is studying some sort of studies, then or learn how to play an instrument or gain some skills, and then your health issues. Oh well, with money, let's talk about it. Okay, so the event is not going to be at the house where holiday is going. Your health improves, let's say, that is because if you have been doing this as a hobby and it's not been it's been getting late in the season. Everybody? Or alternatively, you have a lover. So your health is improving because you are making good sex together. So this is alternatively, your health is diminishing. Yes, because you, I don't know, gave up some hobby that you had, or you stopped doing something that you love, or someone that you love. And so you kind of like, you become less healthy. And so this is where you're going to get a little bit of a reality check on that so that you can change things. Where can you interfere? Well, in the fifth house, well, of course, you cannot assert if you cannot assert that you're going to meet a lover, but definitely, or have a, it's like it's not good enough reason to have a baby, or maybe it is, like, what do I know? But but definitely you can take on a hobby that you like and do something creative, and this can help improve upon your health situation. And I have another story for this. When I was working for a credit card company, I had a very hard time to wake up in the morning without being fully raged. And so I went to kind of like a naturopathic doctor, had it from the HMO. And she told me, knowing nothing about me, she said, you must write every morning, you must write and you must paint. You must do something creative every day. And apparently I was doing, I'm a writer and she didn't know that, and I wasn't being creative. Okay, that would actually starting that would lead to me writing, actual screenplay that did win awards. But this is the situation. Okay, so the situation you got, it's gonna manifest in your health, but it's because you haven't been creative enough. And now ascendant Scorpio. So for you, Aquarius is the 4th house and Pisces is the 5th house. There is an event in the 5th. You meet a lover, you separate from a lover, you take on a hobby, you separate, you cut off a hobby. Where it started has to do with your home. It can be that you move to a different house, or that you renovate the house. With Venus, Mars, you could be renovating, redecorating the house. And this is taking time from you so that you cannot do like your hobbies right now. So the event is that you're not so busy in your like hobbies. But a 5th house event, well, it can be like, having a child, something that happens with your child, okay? And you want to be thinking about the house. I will give you a story now. When I was in between houses, and both in the structure of the one of my parents' home and in the place of where I was staying, it was beautiful mama. She had a single mama, and she opened the door for me and so on. But I was in the room of the boy. And the room of the boy was designed in a certain way. The house, it was a beautiful house, but it was designed a certain way that the room of the boy always had the door open. And every morning we would get to the closet to get clothes, okay? So she would get there. And the problem wasn't me. She opened the door for me. I was just happy until I'll find a house. But her relationship with her son were very difficult. And apparently this had to do with boundaries. And so the child would insist on coming to sleep with her, which is usual, but he would not have his own place. Nobody is to blame for that, because the design was so that they did not have their own autonomy. And so indeed the problem was that they would have rage fits. Okay, it was not only that, but what I want you to take a look, if you have issues with your child, I want you to make sure that you have a room for your child, depending on their age, where they can have an enclosed space that is theirs. And the boundaries of when you enter this room and exit this room, this is Saturn, okay, are going to be well defined in a way that complies with their need for being, in Pisces, they need to dream, they need to kind of like, have an autonomy. And this is where the solutions for the relations or the event that comes up with your child has to do with the structure of the house. For example, you could have like a daughter or a son that, drifted and went out of the window to meet a friend while you told them that they're in curfew or something like that. And this is the structure of the house, okay? It's like, it's just that allowed that, okay? This is allowed the event if the structure of the house was different. But yes, I'm not saying you should jail your children, God forbid. But this is a structural issue that comes from either your upbringing that is affecting what is happening, and it can be not a child but also a lover, because 5th house is when we have a lover, not lover in the sense of extramarital affair, but a lover in the sense of romance, okay? Even before you, let's say, marry or commit, if you marry or commit, then the lover stage, the dating stage, is 5th house. And so your upbringing could be affecting this relationship. Okay, let's say one of you, one could be, or your house could be more traditional. Okay, and this can be unusual for let's say the partner. So Saturn fifth house, maybe you cannot have sex until marriage, and your partner is like, oh, but how do we know that we are sexually compatible? That can bring up, or there can be a difference, a religious or a cultural differences coming from the upbringing. I actually watched a Finnish person talking about dating, so with an American woman. And so apparently for Americans, they date multiple people and they do it like a little bit of game. And sex is often used to kind of, in a sort of like, oh, you didn't do the dishes, you don't get sex, something like this. And for her coming from Finland, it was like, this is so strange because we are 50-50. Yeah, I buy myself flowers, but my partner will, I don't know, make a whole, write a whole song for me or something like this. And anybody can initiate sex, and it's not something, both of us can enjoy sex. It's not a problem. So those type of cultural shocks and clashes can happen in your dating life. It's also to do with children. If you have a partner, and now you're discussing having children or are having children, then there can be a little bit of clashes and that are coming from either the structure of the house or indeed the upbringing. Okay, for example, let's say go back to this Finland example. So in Finland, people are 50-50 in like everything. And let's say you grew up in a country where, or in a house where that was just not like that. Okay, you're just like, oh, well, the mother is doing that. Okay, like I have to go to work. Okay, it's not necessarily about sexism. It's just different cultures. And someone say, well, I have to go to work. If I wake up in the night, I could get fired. And they were used to like the wife staying home. It's like, well, I work too. Okay, or many couples coming to understand that once they have a child, it's like, oh, it does take a village to raise a child, and I have to do it in two. So it can be something like that, but it can also be a situation where you have a certain structure that is actually supportive of you. Let's say you're that Finnish woman and you discover that you don't have to worry about, your partner doing everything 50-50, and they're taking carrying all the cars in a house, and you're like coming from a place that it wasn't the case, and you're like, oh damn. This can also be, and this can actually be a reality check to your house where you're like, oh my gosh, where was I growing? Okay, that can also be with that event. Mercury and Jupiter are both to do with children. They're both involved, the moon as well, Venus as well, and so on. It's your upbringing you should go to, the structure of your house, and even your ancestral wisdom that can be the source of why things are happening in this way and where is it going as well. Okay. Now, ascendant. Oh, when it comes to hobbies as well, okay, so some restricting your hobbies. Let's say you like singing. You're a religious Jewish girl that would love to sing in a club, but your father says to you, well, if you want to sing only with ladies, and it's not accepted to be, like singer. Usually men do that, and so on and so forth, like really orthodox. So your upbringing could be restrictive, and this is because of religious beliefs or cultures of your hobbies. Um, and yeah, Saturn Pisces can also be about child-free. So let's say you decide, oh, okay, I want to be child-free, and your house, your upbringing house is very, very difficult with that. It's the fourth house that you need to tend to. And now ascendant Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, Pisces is the fourth house, and Aquarius is the third house. So the event is going to happen in Pisces, okay? You're buying a house, you're selling a house, somebody has to evacuate, something with your elders happen, hopefully not a death, it's not impossible. This is not doom and gloom, it's just so you know that if you deal with that, this is where it's coming from. And the change, there is an event around your situation, upbringing, or your household, or your very literal house. Why? You will find that in the third house. For example, okay, let's say, and again, it has to do with, religious stuff and cultural stuff. So, for example, let's say your village became more orthodox, and now is more problematic for women to go free on the buses and sit wherever they like. And you're like, we're not staying here. Okay. But let's say you are the child in this situation, then you don't know why we're moving, why are we moving, why are we moving. They don't really tell you that. They say, oh, dad got a new job or something like that. Another thing is that, let's say the public transportation became very pricey or changed certain roads and stuff like that. And so you're like, okay, we really are going to need to move from this place. We thought that we could stay, or we're going to need to stay at home more as well. Or because, or certain habits that you do have changed, because habits is third house. Okay. Um, and in here, for example, let's say you like to take warm baths, and this is summer season, and now you want to take a warm bath, but you don't have this bath in this new house that you moved into. And so like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So you're trying to find creative solutions because of that, or maybe you're going to decide to renovate the house. They can be like a pipeline leak or something like that in the third house, because Pluto is in Aquarius. So something with, actually, when I was at the Dead Sea, I saw a woman that we talked about vacations, and she was, I don't remember how to pronounce it, Kyrgyzstan, I think. And she told me that the plumbing there is actually above the ground. It's not inside the ground, but above the ground, but there's not smelly. Really. So Pluto, this is so Pluto Aquarius. It's like the plumbing is like in the air, in the open air, but it's not smelly. It's actually clean. So that is just something that came up. Um, and so you might move into a new house and it's decorated very weirdly, and you're like, what is going on? Well, the plumbing is outside in the air. This is Pluto. And it can be wonderful, but it's just something you're not used to. So you can have like a cultural shock from your own home. Um, Another thing is that, let's say you started to run every day and you have an argument with your parent because your parent cooked a big dinner with a lot of fat and stuff like that. And you say, let's say you live in an Arabic family, okay? You guys are gonna feel my heart right now because you guys started a diet. My grandma was Cuban, so you started the diet, and you come home, and they expect you to eat, okay? Or let's say you said I'm vegan. That's the best. Let's go for the chicken for the vegans, chicken for the vegetarians, and that's what's up. And you're like, I don't have anything to eat, and this is like in an Arabic household where like you're not allowed to not eat. Okay. So that can be a little bit of an issue, and suddenly your family is like, this is so weird. And like, what is off? Well, it is in your third house. It's your habits. You changed your diet, or you change your daily routine. You started to I don't know, run every day, and now you eat it differently, or you eat it in different hours. Maybe you have one of those diets where you eat 5 times a day. Okay, and like, why are you eating? We're having a dinner in 3 hours. No, but I'm supposed to have a snack. Okay, so this is a lot of things that people run into, like with their families, that change up things as well. And as you can see, the cause is in Aquarius. Like, oh, you need to eat something that's good for your what? Nervous system. But you need to eat something that is relaxing for your nervous system, and then you get stressed at home because you can't eat what your mama or grandmama cooked for you, and this becoming a household crisis, which is also stressful. So yeah, now ascendant ascendant Capricorn. So Capricorns, I touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to do it more extensively. Aquarius is your second house, Pisces is your third. What is your second house? How I make my money, how I spend my money, my values, my possessions. Okay? Pisces is your neighborhood, your car. So those things, your second house is intellectual. Maybe you are a scientist, maybe you are an author, maybe you know of air quality. So an intellectual of some sort. With Venus Mars, you could do some marketing, real estate, but your intellectual ideas, maybe you're having some sort of a patent or something like this. And the event is in your daily routines. So let's say to study your skill, to perfect your skill, you might not be able to meet your siblings so well. So the event is your sister is fighting with you or ignoring. The event, maybe your sister is ignoring you. And you're like, why is she acting weird? It's like, she's not acting weird. You have been ignoring her for so long because you've been so excited about studying this new skill that you're working on. Okay, that's more like it, but it points at something way, way deeper that you will find in the second house. This can also be, you know, values and priorities, Venus, action and initiatives, Mars. So where are your values? Where are your priorities? Where they always been? There's going to be another event related to that. But also how I make my money, how I spend the money. Let's say you're an astrologer, okay? And I don't know, you're also going to church. You're an astrologer and you're going to church. And so people start to treat you differently. And you're like, what's on? Okay? And you don't quite get why do they act. They're very polite to you, but they look like there's just a weird vibe, but you can't really ask them about this. So this is where you need to look to your second house. How I make my money, how I spend my money. Okay, probably one of them find out you're an astrologer and they're like, oh, now it's happening to me again. Okay, or maybe it happened in the previous neighborhood because third house is neighborhood, or it happened with one neighbor, it's happening with another neighbor. And you're like, okay, I'll just gonna have to find people who are aligned with my values, and maybe your values have been changing, and that's why you need to align yourself with new neighbors, or set things straight with siblings, or even dedicate a little bit more time to your closest friends, you know, so not to lose them. More things that can be is around the transportation, and again your values, and your yes, and when your occupation, what you do for a living, they could be affecting where you can travel. Let's say you're a journalist, okay, and so there's some places where you can get into more freely, but now it is changing. Or maybe you are a spy, okay, because Pisces, and now there are some places where you can't travel. Although third house is more means of transportation, okay, so if you are suspected to be, let's say, a spy, then you can find out, you know, people try to mess with your car or this or that. You're like, why is this happening? It's like, yeah, people think you're a spy because you wrote a book, or because you're astrologer, or maybe you do like, you know, stuff like that. And that's what's up. It's like it's in your second. And another thing can be, of course, your expenses. So let's say the event is you need to fix your car, and you don't have like enough to pay, you know, in one go or whatnot, and you need to wait with that. And what's actually on is what you spend your money on. So you're gonna have to, you know, you're gonna have to check in with your value. You're gonna have a little bit of a reality check to your values, to what you hold valuable. Okay. And there's going to be, you're going to have to be doing that differently from now on. Ascendant Aquarius. It is last but not least, Ascendant Aquarius. Well, the event is in your second house, but it's actually coming from your first house. So it can be something as simple as you have a driving license, now you bought a car, and now you are driving everywhere. And so you had a fine, maybe you were parking in the wrong place, you had a fine. Okay, not necessarily like an accident or something like this. You had a fine, like shit, now I have this expense, and it's going to take you a while to pay that, and meanwhile you can't drive your car. And then you go back to not having a car, and you realize that you've been walking way more, you've been working out way more, you've been discovering things and being on your path way more than when you're driving a car. And you're like, oh, I really worked hard to have a car, but I have to change the way I use the car, because this delay that I had is actually contributing to my health and my path. Alternatively, you didn't have a car. Now you have a car. Now you can travel some places, and you just travel to places that you're excited about, or do what you need to do, and you realize that you align more with your path. Just because you have a driving license, just because you have a car, now you have a means of transportation that can get you to where you need to be, because you spend money on that. But another thing is something that you spend money on, okay? Or how you make money is aligning you more with you. For example, let's say you are an astrologer, and you, let's say, do channeling in astrology, okay? The event is, for example, you boost up your income. You price yourself more, you boost up your income, okay? What's really happened is you're aligning with yourself, then you are finding your value, and then you're actually making money, okay? So the event is going to be, oh, I got richer, I got more money. Or alternatively, if you've been straying off your path, you're going to get a reality check. For example, you took a job that's just for security, and just for to have income, you get fired, and you're like, oh shit. Okay? And now, while you have this oh shit, you have actually more opportunities to do what what you would do if you didn't have to think about money. And now this is carrying more profit. So it's a little bit of a reality check on something. And depending on how you've been acting with it is the results that you are going to get. So it's very much to do with the how you price yourself, how you price your skill, and how you spend your money. Is that aligning you with your life path? These are the questions, basically. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.